Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there. I'm downstate. My wife's having surgery on Wednesday. And I would just share when there are health issues, friends and family, it really drives home the importance of the work we do here at Oriana. But I wanted to share the big picture stuff. And if you'll bear with us, we'll see how well we can make this work. So we should be looking at a slide, the big picture. We'll advance one and we'll talk about the numbers. Oriana finished last year about $16.4 million in sales. Not bad. 6% growth, which is not as robust as the last few years, but still pretty good. It wasn't a target, but we kept our expenses in line. So at the end of the year, Oriana's net profit was about 5%, which is commendable. And what we say is when Oriana does well, we can do more good stuff. So we'll go on to the next slide to give you yet another graphic. This graph shows our growth since 2005, where we were just a little over, somewhere around 5 million in sales in 2005. And you can see the growth all the way up to 16 and almost 16.5 million by 2015. So 10 years, amazing growth. We'll go to the next slide. How are we doing so far this year? This slide's great. Lori Korb is the cashier in the old store on Randolph. And then one of our stalwart members, Warren, is to her left. And Warren's 94 now and still hits the co-op a couple times a week, if not more. I do think Warren might still have that coat, glasses, and cap. But if you see Warren, make sure you say hi. And the next slide is just the lovely graphs that I love to show because it shows the picture of Oriana's January was down, but last year was Member Appreciation Month, and we made up for it plus some in February. February was up 14%, and so that puts us at about a 5% above last year for the year, and that's because of everybody in this room, and sincerely, you're recognized and thank you. So the next slide, Soulless Zombies are coming. That's a competition. And competition's here. We already have everybody from Target and Meijer, the big box stores, even our conventional grocer friends that we've kind of had a symbiotic relationship over the years. They're getting into naturals and organics. So competition is here, but the soulless zombies that are coming, we'll go to the next slide, include Lucky's Market, which we've talked about. They had planned to open in the beginning of 2016, and it looks like now it's going to be later in the year. Some of their stores in different areas of the country, they've had some challenges, so they're paying attention to those stores, but they are still focused on being open fourth quarter of 2016. So we'll keep an eye on those folks. They are 4 miles away, and they are going in the old Horizon movie theater. They'll be about 27,000 square feet, so quite a bit bigger, but they have a different take on this business. They have everything from Coke through some organics. As I said, they're local. It's kind of hard to define. So we have a lot to recommend the co-op. And our job will be to grab the folks that may be shopping Lucky's and bring them over to the co-op. The next slide is another zombie apocalypse, Costco. And these folks are planning on putting up a good-sized store over by the airport. Costco has been looking around the area for the last few years. They take opportunities to get great pricing on a good location before they plant their flag. They've got some hurdles, but they're pretty good at plowing those fields and getting the zoning and the infrastructure in place. And they're planning to break ground in June. That would let them theoretically get open probably by the beginning of 2017. Costco, a lot of folks go, well, that's not really competition for Oriana. Well, Costco is the largest purveyor of organics and naturals. They've surpassed Whole Foods. So Costco, somebody to keep our eye on. The next slide says competition is a rude yet effective motivation. I think that says to me, yeah, competition is inevitable. What we've been doing for decades has gone mainstream. It keeps us sharp. It keeps us moving in a direction to make the experience for people ever better. Work on our pricing. All of the things that will keep Oriana a viable, successful business in the future. The next slide really is an overview of why we are different than these other folks. Oriana is owned by folks in the community. We're authentic. Local for us is 100 miles. You see the farmer posters, hey, then you see the farmer. The staff, engaged, knowledgeable folks. And the experience is better. Costco, for example, a store of 150, 200,000 square feet, has about the same number of employees as Oriana. And importantly, the money spent at Oriana stays local. It doesn't go off to somewhere out of state, or in the case of Lucky's, some of the investment is even from China. We're owned by folks in our community. We're a member-owned co-op. We're here at the end of the day for the wants and the needs of the members. Something we need to always keep in mind. So the next slide, it is the business plan for 2016. I've talked about this many times that, I love it when people say Oriana is my happy place. So our business plan for 2016 is that 95% of the folks surveys say Oriana is my happy place. You had a bad day? Come to the co-op. You'll leave with a smile on your face after seeing your friends, being part of the community, talking with engaged, knowledgeable staff, and being able to buy good, high-quality, fairly priced food. So Oriana, the happy place. The next slide, I wanted to talk quickly about the change recently. We have, after 3 years, stepped back from the Acme area. We were very close to finalizing the lease on a location, but doing our due diligence, it was too much risk. The costs were too high. The investment was too much of Oriana's cash, and we actually had, partly because of all the competition, had to reduce our revenue. It's not the right time for a deployment to Acme. Acme will remain on the radar. So what does that mean? We got a lot of support from members, the board certainly, business community. Most everybody was positive and understood the reasons and appreciate the fact that Oriana is a good steward of the members' resources. But the next slide, Oriana Imagine 2022 is still our vision. So the new store in Acme was going to be our template. We were going to then, in the next year or two, bring a lot of those things over to the 10th Street store. We're just going to flip that model. So we're going to be paying attention to the 10th Street store. That means we're refreshing our brand. That is a review of colors and the way we tell our story. We're looking at the store layout. So there may be some layout changes. The store decor, that visual implementation, we're going to remain fun, funky, and a little sophisticated as we look at this stuff. What does that look like? Certainly we'll be paying attention to the front end, new lanes. Customer service desk is probably going to get moved to a better location, likely against one of the walls so they're not surrounded. And lastly, this is kind of the three-pronged approach, we will be making repairs and improvements to the infrastructure of the store, especially those things that make a difference to our carbon footprint. That's energy and efficiency improvements. Don't be surprised if we're talking solar panels on the roof or on the property. Exciting stuff. This is our focus for the next year, is making the 10th Street, our home, ever better. And to give you a teaser, we'll look at the next slide, which says teaser. The old Oriana location where Babe Red is, and one of the original locations, the bottom picture is an old garage where Oriana was allowed to keep the 55-pound bags of beans and rice. The next slide is this location here at 10th Street, just after Oriana took over and was starting to move stuff in to make it our new home. Get ready, drum roll please. Next slide is actually just me playing around. This is the Merck in Lawrence, Kansas. They did a brand refresh, brought in a lot of the colors that co-ops are using. Green, to a lot of folks, denotes the fresh, clean, organic kind of products that we sell. The next slide is the exciting cafe area. Storytelling at the top, refresh. Completely fresh, says it all. Bright colors combined with earth tones. It is not necessarily how Oriana will look, but we're looking at all of those things. I love the floors here. Might not be the way we go, but it works in this store. It's really fun. So we look at the floor, and now we move on to the slide with the sushi hot bar and local at the top. Again, great storytelling, graphics at the top. You can see pictures in the background. Those are our farmers and producers. Just kind of a nice, crisp, modern look. So last slide, that is Oriana making magic. And we will be sharing more about those changes coming up with staff, with members, with the community. We'll have 3D renderings, and we certainly love to get suggestions, input, utilize the Oriana, the new store at oriana.coop email, the suggestion box, email me directly, write notes. And we will also be getting input from members as we can show them stuff. We plan to give them a pretty good overview at the Oriana General Membership Meeting in April. So that is a target. I thank you all for your patience. Sorry I couldn't be there, and have a great afternoon. Thanks.